countertops and sinks for Pesach is to not bother kashering. I know this isn't always practical, but it's important to point out the easiest and best solution would be to cover your countertops, and we'll talk about coverings in a second, and use an insert in the sink. Many of us remember this that's the way our parents used to do Pesach, or if they had a single sink, that's how they dealt with milchiks and fleishiks. So they are very easily available. You can pick them up at most hardware stores. If they're still available at Amazon, you can pick them up at Amazon. They're called a sink basin, and they come in various sizes. Obviously, the bigger you have, the easier it will be to use. As far as countertops, they sell corrugated plastic, which can be used on top, or any other type of, it could be a wooden cover or a hard plastic cover. What you want to avoid, aluminum foil, paper, and just contact paper will get cut through or leak through, so are not recommended. But again, before we talk about how we would kosher this, the best and easiest option is cover and not kosher, which would be an insert or a cover on the countertop. The sinks that we're talking about are specifically stainless steel sinks. If you have a sink of any material other than stainless steel, you're going to have to consult your rabbi, or again, the easiest way would be to use an insert. We're talking about stainless steel sinks. So remember, 24 hours, your sink should be cleaned prior to those 24 hours. In the case of this sink, it's connected under counter, so we've got to make sure that that rim on the inside is very well cleaned. Also, the area by the drain should be gone over and made sure with like scouring powder and made sure that it's completely clean. We want to focus on our corners and our crevices. And then again, 24 hours prior to koshering, we want to go underneath the sink, turn off the hot water. So we're pretending for the purposes of this demo that the sink has been cleaned and has sat for 24 hours. Now, when we're koshering, the easiest way is top down. We want to make sure we cover all of our surfaces. So we're not talking about our countertop now, we're talking about our faucet. Our faucet has to be koshered. Anything that's here that's not going to be covered and put away, if you have a sprayer or a soap dispenser, those are going to have to be koshered. Also, the sink itself, the walls of the sink are by far the hardest part to kosher, and then the base of the sink. And we're going to be koshering with a hot water kettle. This one's plugged in. It doesn't actually reach, so we're going to have to unplug it to pour it, but you want it right from the boil. You don't want it to wait. Water loses temperature very quickly. We don't want it to wait. We want to go as soon as we're out and start that pour right away. We want to get a good cover. I'd also recommend put towels on the floor, and remember, you're dealing with water that is 212 degrees. It can easily scald you. An area of particular concern when you're koshering and pouring water on this side, which is closer to your body, and a little bit of a difficult motion, be very careful not to burn yourself. So in our case, we're going to start with the sink, with the faucet itself. I'm going to kosher the faucet, and then we're going to go down to the sink itself. So our water is boiling. This is plugged in and boiling. I'm going to quickly unplug it. I'm going to start my pour. I'm going to pour down the whole faucet, making sure to get all areas directly. Pour down the knobs. Work the other side. Another thing important to remember is I do not have to cover the entire portion of whatever I'm koshering at one time. It can be done in sections. In our case, it really is not long enough, but I just want to show you, if this had waited long enough, we would plug back in to reheat our water before continuing. For purposes of the demo, we're going to assume it came back to a rolling boil. I'm going to unplug it. I'm going to start pouring. Now again, remember by our sink, the sides are going to be the hardest part. You also can't kosher in a way that I'm pouring the water on the sides of the wall and then it's going to run down. I have to pour on the entire wall because as it runs down, it cools and I'm no longer pouring boiling water directly on the surface. So if you want to bring that camera a little closer, I'm going to pour. I want to get the entire section. I want to move nice and slowly down the entire section. Make sure you get all the way up on the top. I should have done this before. The drain is not going to be able to be kosher. That's going to be replaced. I want to get in all the cracks and crevices. There's no problem with going over this a couple of times. Most dangerous part, like we talked about, is going to be the walls here. I'm running out of water, so I'm going to have to refill this. But the idea is go over it 1 or 2 times. Make sure you get all of the surfaces, a direct pour directly onto the surface. Work your way around. Take your time. It may take 2 or 3 times. Again, the other important thing to remember is these are dangerous. You're dealing with very, very hot water, which could be dangerous. So take your time. Take any precautions that you need to do. And go over the surfaces 1 or 2 times, and you'll effectively kosher your stainless steel sink. I'm now going to demonstrate how to kasher a countertop. The only countertops we're recommending for kashering are stone-based. That would be granite, quartz, or marble. Anything else, Corian or Formica, please ask your rabbi, but generally those are not kosher, that we recommend covering them. So what we're going to do is, again, we're going direct pour. We're doing an Iroi Kli Rishon. This is boiling water that's plugged in, so therefore it's directly on the fire, and we're going to pour directly onto the surface. Keep in mind that this can be there's a lot of water, so it can make a big mess, and it also, you're dealing with water at 212 degrees, so be aware that this is somewhat dangerous. The other thing is you can't rush, because again, we can't just pour on here and let it expand. You really got to make sure to cover the entire area when you're pouring. Coming all the way over to cover the sides, working your way all the way around, and slowly working your way around the entire counter. And again, it could be very messy. An idea would be to put towels on the floor to try to keep yourself